that all for today?
Not by a long shot.
Oh my maker, you cannot imagine how many letters I've received about the fracas at Halamshiral. Fortunately, you tied twice as many threads as cut, although it is yet bewildering at the center.
There are problems coming out of Halamshiral.
There are always problems from Halamshiral. We've lost a few contracts, but more than made up for it. Although, if a few commendations were given, it might retie some severed threads. I couldn't suggest how. That is better decided at your war table, and I'm not going near that thing.
As you were.
We are here for you, Inquisitor. Of course. Another time.
Will you not consider it, Lady Cassandra? The clerics are still sequestered. If no one steps forward, they will debate until...
And you think I could make them agree? I've heard enough for one day, Mother Giselle.
Talk to her, your worship.
The fun never ends in Skyhold, does it?
The Inquisitor was hilarious. That's what they'll say one day, you watch. I assume you've heard that Leliana and I are both candidates to be the next Divine. Because of what happened at Halamshiral, of course, the Empire favors you. Thus everyone close to you. So now the Chantry bandies our names about without even asking us first.
How can you and Leliana be candidates? You're not even priests.
It's not without precedent. Amar III was sister to the Emperor, and Galatea a commoner. Leliana and I were, at least, part of the Chantry hierarchy. It would be accepted.
Why even consider it? Who cares about the Chantry?
I care. Surely it was never meant to be like this. The Chantry, the Circle of Magi, the Templars, this cannot be what they intended when it all began. The Chantry should provide faith, hope. Instead, it cannot veer from its course, even in the face of certain death.
I'm surprised to hear you of all people say that.
Oh? Am I not the same woman who declared the Inquisition against the Chantry's wishes? In all my years as a Seeker, I did what I was told. My faith demanded it. But now my faith demands something else. That I see with better eyes.
The Chantry has failed, Cassandra.
I wonder if the legions of faithful throughout Thedas would agree with you. Did you know Varric is Andrastian? Oh, he blasphemes with every second breath, but deep down he believes. His heart is virtuous. But he would never step foot in a Chantry. It should be the first place to which the virtuous turn. It needs to change. Perhaps I must be the one to change it.
You're not the only candidate. What about Leliana?
Leliana says she wishes to follow Justinia's legacy. But she and I remember a different person. Justinia knew her fellow clerics and the people would only accept so much change. Leliana would cast it all aside and start over, I think. And that would be chaos for us all.
What would you change about the Chantry?
The Circle of Magi has its place, but it needs reform. Let the mages govern themselves with our help. Let the Templars stand not as the jailers of mages, but as protectors of the innocent. We must be vigilant, but we must also be compassionate to all peoples of Thedas, human or no. That is what I would change.
So this is your new crusade?
I've agreed to nothing yet.
And if the Chantry calls on you?
Then I will do whatever I can, for as long as I can. I suppose I should not be so concerned. The clerics speak my name for now, nothing more. For now, restoring order and stopping Corypheus remain our priority. Yes?
So, you're a candidate for Divine now?
So I am informed.
Is that something you actually want?
Why should what I want matter?
Maybe it shouldn't.
It is very simple. The Chantry needs to survive. To do that, it must change. I have never believed in asking another to do what you are unwilling to do yourself. So I look upon this as an opportunity. I owe it to myself and all of Thedas to seek the Sunburst throne.
There are other ways you can change things.
Perhaps. I may not have a choice in the matter if the Chantry clerics pick another.
Do you have any advice for me?
It seems that Corypheus searches for elven artifacts. That's hardly surprising. Tevinter power is based on what those vultures scavenged from the ancient elves. Whatever advantage he hopes to gain, we need to stop him at once.
Do you have any advice for me?
You know what you need to do, Inquisitor.
That's enough for now.
Another time, then.
Right. Hey,
What's been going on?
they've done a lot with this place. I'm impressed.
I have to go.
Inquisitor?
What's the current mood?
Unlikely.
What's the word out there?
Don't tell Corypheus, but learning about his servants has affected how people view him. I think negatively.
As you were.
Inquisitor?
Inquisitor?
Can you think of any other tasks suitable for the Chargers?
A few Orlesian nobles didn't like how things ended at the Winter Palace. They're not rebelling outright, but they've brought in mercenary companies in preparation. The Chargers have a good reputation. If we go in, we can buy the companies out from underneath them. The nobles will lose the men they meant for causing trouble, and the Inquisition gets some fresh blood.
We'll talk later.
You know I've got no problem with Orlesians, but Halamshiral was a mess. At least under the Qun, you don't get everyone tripping on each other's dicks while the country goes to crap.
I hate politics.
You've got a crappy job then, boss. Hey, boss. How are you?
See you later, Bull.
Nice talking with you, boss.
Inquisitor.
Inquisitor!
Could be better.
One for the Empress, for Gaspar, Briada, the Duchess, and Corypheus. Right in the dangle bag.
All right, you're clearly annoyed. What can I do?
You're doing fine. It's the dead piled up in Halamshiral that's nagging at me. A cook here, a footman there. What's it matter, right, so long as there's a butt for the throne? A skinny elven puppet arse at that. Wonder how long before she forgets her poor elves. Ugh, that place. Should have just thrown in some bees and slammed the doors.
I don't know. You want to stop a party? I think you go earwigs.
I hate those things. with their little pinchy butts. Josephine should add that to her paper threats. You know the real lesson from all this? Never sleep with an empress. That, and Briala being an idiot. The whole thing would have gone different if that little piss-up wasn't in the middle.
You don't think much of her, but Briala came out ahead.
Right, because that was all the plan and not dumb luck. Dumb luck named you. Watch out, yeah. The hole in the sky didn't start their war. Stupid people did that. Still going to be plenty of those after Corypheons is dead. Sitting and waiting. Great, yeah?
Are things playing out the way you expected?
About time we turned around on this Coryphe whatever. Make him feel like he's on the wrong end of the dogs for once, yeah?
What do you think about the people who have gathered?
Again with your people? Right, which ones?
What about Solus?
I've seen how you look at him. You're in it. Bet he calls out elven glory when he does it.
Anything to say about Varric?
Varric? Too clever. Always saying something, but never saying it straight.
We'll talk later.
Good, right? I'll be here.
I didn't understand the Grand Ball. It would have been easier if they said what they wanted.
That would have made everything much simpler.
The colors were pretty, though.
I'll talk to you later.
Yes. She's still behind the curtains in the reading room, watching the blood pool on the floor.
I'll talk to you later.
Yes.
Sir.
Of course. I'd be perfectly happy never again setting foot in the Winter Palace. It wasn't the gossip and backstabbing, I know what the game entails, but the indifference to it all.
We ended the stalemate. That's what matters.
In the Winter Palace, the clerics in Val Royeaux were still arguing over who should be divine. Chantry politics may involve less spectacle, but they're just as heated. Gaspard rules a country. The divine influences half a continent.
Is there anything I should know?
Only that I'm never playing cards again. I still can't find my... It doesn't matter. I don't know how Varric talked me into that.
Is there anything I should know?
My senior officers report that the soldiers are in good spirits. Having the Imperial Army as an ally has bolstered their confidence. The Orlesian military is highly regarded. Of course, I'd wager our own recruits are equal to any chevalier.
What do you think of the people you work with?
Who do you mean?
Are you satisfied with the Inquisition's forces?
Our soldiers handled themselves well during the siege on Adamant. They reacted quickly to changes on the battlefield. More importantly, they relied on each other. Trust in your fellow soldiers is not something that can betray.
I should let you get back to work.
The war in Olay has claimed too many lives. I pray that it's over for good.
What do you think of the Inquisition?
I just know that you could shake this world to its foundations if you willed it.
What do you think of my advisors?
Liliana seems nice. Also a little frightening, but mostly nice.
You must have some feelings about our friends.
Have you seen the stories Varric's been writing? His descriptions of me are colorful, to say the least.
We should return to our duties.
As you wish. You are, after all, in charge.
How bracing to be in the thick of the game again. The last time I was at Halamshiral was Countess Letienne's wedding. There were a dozen affairs, 5 secret alliances, and a duel between 2 chevaliers over the vintage of an Antivan port. But until the Duchess was unmasked, I've never seen the Winter Palace in shock.
The nobility needed a shock. Corypheus played them all for fools.
I agree completely. I must confess, when Celine was killed, my first reaction wasn't sorrow. It was disappointment. How could the Empress of Orlais be taken in by the Duchess's plot?
Celine sacrificed her safety to her politics.
The blade at her back certainly proved sharper than the knives at her throat. But let's not lose sight of victory. Your actions at the ball have secured us allies and favors alike.
Playing the game was thrilling. We did just make history.
With Celine gone, I don't know if it will be for the better or the worse. Although I do wish Varric would show a bit more restraint in his accounts of the evening. I was hoping you'd be by. We've received letters from Archon Redanus of Tevinter and King Marcus of Nevada. For both monarchs to come to us is nearly unheard of.
More proof the Inquisition's fame has spread.
Fame is one thing. Asking for help is another. Archon Redanus requests that the Inquisition, as a neutral party, destroy a Venatory cult on the Nevaran-Tevinter border. King Marcus asks the same, but demands we pledge allegiance to Nevara instead of Tevinter.
What course of action would you take if you were in my place?
Strained as their relationship with Orlais is, I would assist the Imperium. Their friendship is difficult to win, and Marcus is a fading power. Tevinter is the longer, richer gain.
What sort of man is the King of Navarra?
At this point, elderly. Many fear his health will soon fail him. Still, he is a Pentagast. Their dynasty is exceptionally strong in Navarra.
As a Pentagast, will Cassandra be upset if we don't help her relatives?
With all respect to Sikar Pentagast, her interest in politics is best described as thin.
Why is the ruler of Tevinter turning on the Venatori?
He has little reason to love them. Archon Redanus has rightly identified Corypheus as competition. Few monarchs relish a self-styled god showing up to claim their throne.
Tell me about Redanus.
Like most Tevinter rulers, he's heir to an ancient bloodline, politically shrewd, and a highly skilled mage. Rumor also claims he has an incredibly soft spot for cats.
Tell the Archon the Inquisition will do Tevinter the favor of wiping out the Venatori on its borders.
Very good, Inquisitor. We'll inform him at once.
Your word.
There is a problem that needs your attention, Inquisitor.
'Tis a large fortress, Inquisitor. To think, until recently this place stood decrepit, occupied only by the desperate and the lost. Now it is party to events that threaten to shake the world. I wonder if it is pleased.
It sounds like you've heard of Skyhold before.
This fortress was built upon the remains of a site holy to the ancient elves. They called it Salan, the place where the sky is kept. It is said that from here, they reached up to the heavens to bring them down to rest. They abandoned it, as did the humans who came after them. Bones laid upon bones, silent until your arrival.
I like this place. I've made it mine.
The magic in this place has seeped into the stones, protecting it from darkness. Those who let it fall to ruin did not know what they possessed. You, I think, shall do it justice. You were kind to welcome my aid, Inquisitor, even knowing as little of me as you do. I will do my best to aid your cause with all the knowledge at my disposal. This I swear to you.
You swear it? That's rather serious.
Some might think Corypheus a madman for seeking godhood. Yet one must ask, what were the old gods? What secrets of theirs did the ancient magisters know? What I fear, what all should fear, is not that Corypheus believes he can succeed. 'Tis that he actually may.
Inquisitor?
Can you tell me how our people are doing?
What would you like to know?
How are our forces at Skyhold doing?
We have many injured. The siege of Adamant was brutal for all involved. Even so, more flock to your banner. They have heard that the Inquisition defeated the legendary Grey Wardens. Your soldiers have been blooded, Inquisitor. They are veterans now. An army in more than just name.
Farewell.
Be well, Inquisitor.
I hear the Grey Wardens are now banished from southern lands. Such a descent into infamy after their victory in the Fifth Blight. I wonder if they wish now that the war had spread further. They have until the next archdemons rise to repair what damage they have done, if they are even able.
What work have you been doing to help us?
Currently, my efforts are focused on determining what Corypheus is, and from where his power comes. The elven orb he carries is what draws my attention. I wonder if the power he used to tear open the Fade, in fact, came from the orb. Perhaps it is even the source of your anchor. If I learn of its origin, I may also learn what Corypheus now intends, as well as his weaknesses.
I could use your company for my excursions outside Skyhold.
I have spent my share of time wandering the wilderness in the company of others, Inquisitor. Thank you for the invitation, but for now I will restrict my efforts to researching the arcane.
Do you know anything about his dragon?
It has the appearance of an archdemon. Of that, I am certain. A true archdemon, however, is supposedly the corrupted form of an old god. Has Corypheus actually dug up one of the ancient prisons? If so, why has a new blight not begun? His dragon is something else, something connected to his blighted nature as well as his magic. Beyond that, I cannot say.
Is it even possible that Corypheus could succeed?
The Black City exists. Wherever one goes in the Fade, it is visible in the sky. The last time Corypheus and his cohort stormed its doors, they unleashed the Blight upon the world. This time, perhaps he might indeed gain untold power, becoming something unto a god. It is also possible he could unleash something far worse than the Blights. So yes, Corypheus could succeed in his goal. If not, his attempt alone could destroy the world.
Corypheus says I'm a rival. Does that mean...
Could you become a god? That depends. Are you prepared to use your anchor to enter the Black City? I imagine your forces will be heading into the Arbor Wilds very soon, Inquisitor. Trust me when I say that wherever the Eluvian is hidden, it is worth any effort to prevent Corypheus from acquiring it.
I'd like to know more about you.
Ah yes, whence comes the mystery woman slinking her way into the Inquisition's ranks? Once I was an apostate, living well away from the banal influence of the Chantry in the Kukari Wilds. Then came the Fifth Blight with its darkspawn, and I left Ferelden for the Empress's court. 'Tis certain the nobles of Orlais breathe a collective sigh of relief that I am now here.
It's odd that an apostate could live so openly.
It confuses those who expect apostates to cower and hide. I stand boldly before them and demand to know why I need some Chantry mage to teach me to control my power. They would put me on a leash so they can feel safer at night. I am uninterested in their comfort. Naturally, it helps to have friends in high places.
The Orlesian court seems like an odd place to find someone like you.
That was the point, originally. I knew the Empress was intrigued by the arcane, and that I could answer questions no Chantry mage could. Thus, we fit together nicely. I became her advisor, and she my benefactor and source of refuge. The moment Celine perished, my time in court was done. I do not miss it overmuch.
You were in Ferelden during the Blight.
The Blight began in the Kukari Wilds, so yes, I experienced it firsthand. Indeed, I fought at the hero of Ferelden's side for a time. She is the reason the Blight was defeated. We did not part on good terms. I regret a great deal, but that, most of all. And after that, I came to Orlais. The last place one would look for me, or such was my hope.
I'll leave you to the garden.
Until next time, then. My Lady Inquisitor.
Now that you've seen the Inquisition up close, what are your impressions?
'Tis remarkable what you have built. I will give you that. A web of favors has wrapped every noble family in southern Thedas around your fingers. All this in precious little time, conjured from thin air through the power of fervor alone. I wonder if Corypheus suspected what he was enabling, just as I wonder what will become of all this once he is defeated.
I have no idea what will happen once all this is over.
Do you not? No doubt there will be countless men and women with suggestions. Beware the heights you reach, Inquisitor. When this is done, many will be eager to knock you back down.
I'd like to know more about you.
If you have questions, then ask.
I'll leave you to the garden.
Until next time, then. My Lady Inquisitor.
What work have you been doing to help us?
Currently, my efforts are focused on determining what Corypheus is, and from where his power comes. The elven orb he carries is what draws my attention. I wonder if the power he used to tear open the Fade, in fact, came from the orb. Perhaps it is even the source of your anchor. If I learn of its origin, I may also learn what Corypheus now intends, as well as his weaknesses.
However you can help, it's appreciated.
Continue prodding at Corypheus, Inquisitor. Elicit a reaction, and we may yet learn from it.
I'll leave you to the garden.
Of course.
Your worship.
I need to have a few words with my publisher. The first one will be you, and the second one will be Bastard. They've claimed for years my crime serials don't sell in Orlais. So why is the Council of Heralds asking me for autographs? Sorry, distracted. Anyway, you need something?
Can I ask you something, Varric?
You want to talk about me? I'm flattered. Also inclined toward extravagant lies.
Thanks, Varric.
No problem.
There are spirits hovering by the veil to observe the thrones of powerful nations, the machinations, betrayals. After our time in Halamshiral, I understand why. I had forgotten how I missed court intrigue.
I'm pleased you had a good time.
Political gambits, broken promises, half-truths. It is a palace full of motivation, and motivation is where great things happen. In any event, Gaspar should be a steadfast ally. Briala will keep him in check, and look after the elves.
I hope Briala is able to use her position to help our people.
Our people? Who are? Oh, you mean elves? I'm sorry, I was confused. I do not consider myself to have much in common with the elves.
Your people have lost so much of their history and culture. To not even think of yourself that way.
I think of myself as me. That's all I've ever needed. I joined the Inquisition to save the world. Regardless of who my people are, this was the best way to help them. As for the elves of Orlais, I believe Briala is doing quite well on their behalf. She is an admirable woman.
You're an admirable man. Not many people know who they are the way you do.
Thank you. Both for saying that and for seeing that. Few in this world can see me, instead of just seeing a pair of pointed ears. Hello.
I need to know more about Corypheus.
He has lost his army, and he has lost Orlais. That eliminates military or political means to rebuild Tevinter. He will need to demonstrate that no one in this world can stand against his magic. It will not be subtle.
We'll talk later.
Dareth Shirar.
Marvelous business, the Winter Palace. An empress dead, an emperor under your spell, and that elven harpy eating out of your hand. If she doesn't bite it off. All this dancing, politics, and murder makes me a bit homesick.
Happy to oblige. A taste of home, just for you.
Not just for me. Fun for the whole family.
Perhaps I should have invited some.
We were there. That's what counts. I hope you tried the ham they were serving, by the way. Tasted of despair. It's fascinating.
I should go.
Naturally. Questions, questions.
I should go.
Try not to kill anyone without me.
A request has been made of you, Inquisitor. Here it is.
What is your evaluation of how we're doing?
I am able to pursue my duties with optimal efficiency, thanks to Skyhold's present state.
As you were?
Yes, Inquisitor. Inquisitor, I find myself in the unpleasant position of asking you for help. There is an alchemical formula that I must complete, but I have been unable to obtain a critical ingredient. The heart of a snowy wyvern. I had arranged to obtain one, but the chevaliers working with me were killed in the Civil War.
If I'm going to hunt down a snowy wyvern, I need you to tell me everything you know about it.
They're quite rare and exceedingly dangerous. Their venom is the most potent of any wyvern. Ordinary hunters would not make the attempt. The risk is too great. You, my dear, would certainly be an equal to this monster.
I didn't know you were an alchemist, Vivian. What exactly is this project you're working on?
It is a special request from a member of the Council of Heralds. I am still the Imperial Court Enchanter, after all. The matter is private. That is all there is to say.
You want me to risk my life to get this thing for you, but you won't tell me what it's for.
My dear, it is hardly proper for me to blab the secrets of those who put trust in my discretion. You wouldn't want me to speak about your many issues, I'm sure.
I'm not a hunter. Why do you think I can help?
This beast is not hunted for sport, as other wyverns sometimes are. It is far more deadly. In the past, chevaliers have been dispatched to either kill the creatures or drive them away from villages. Since my chevaliers have fallen to political conflict, I find myself in need of someone with a martial aptitude.
This doesn't seem like my concern.
As you say, I shall remember this, my dear. Yes, my dear.
So it's true. Some look to Cassandra or even me as Justinia's successor. I never thought the idea would gain momentum. Of course, with the other candidates out of the picture...
Is becoming divine something you really want?
When Justinia was alive, I would have laughed at anyone who even suggested that I could be her successor. Things have changed. Still, I don't know. Restoring the Chantry will be like trying to steer a sinking vessel through a storm.
No one would fault you for abandoning ship, you know.
Out of the ship and straight into the sea. You think Thedas hates mages now? If the Chantry falls, don't you think the people will blame magic? Look at all that's happened. Kirkwall's Chantry, the war, the breach. Mages are always involved. Without the Chantry to guide, that hatred will spiral out of control.
Wow. You really don't think highly of Thedosians.
The people care only for simple things. Their world is small, and everything beyond it is unknown and something to fear. They will continue to live like this, unless they can be shown another way. But this is a discussion for later. If Corypheus wins, finding a new divine will be the least of our problems. A message from Divine Justinia.
Don't trust it. We have enemies who would trick us like this.
No, it's genuine. She and I have a series of clues we include in our correspondence precisely for this reason. This message was written months, perhaps even years ago, to be delivered to me if she died. I've heard of such contingency plans. A sudden death often leaves loose ends. I'm to go to Valence, a small village on the waking sea. There is something hidden there.
Do you know what you're looking for?
The Divine was a powerful woman who used her position to obtain all sorts of things. Whatever she hid in Valence would very likely benefit the Inquisition and must be kept from falling into the wrong hands. If I'm lucky, she will have instructions for me.
You take your instructions from me? What sort of help can a dead Divine give you?
I don't know. Perhaps something to do with the Chantry. Or it could be personal. She guided me for many years, Inquisitor, as a Divine and as a friend. There are days when I still look to her for advice, only to remember that I am alone.
Why hide things in Valence? What's so special about it?
Justinia was revered mother at the chantry there for many years before she became the Divine. It is a place that holds great meaning for her.
Is this you asking permission to leave for a bit?
Well, yes. I can't imagine I'll be away from my post for very long. And I was hoping you would agree to come with me. Will you at least consider it? One more thing. If what is hidden in Valence is as valuable as I think, we're not going to be the only ones looking for it. I shall meet you at the chantry in Valence. Try not to delay. Inquisitor?
Anything I should know?
There is upheaval in Olay. Our support of Ambassador Briala has scandalized the nobility. I'm quite pleased, personally. If Olay's in turmoil, they will look to us for stability.
You seem to know a great many people.
I have made friends, and on occasion enemies. It's unavoidable.
We can continue this conversation later.
You know where I am. First, this wasn't my idea. It is an issue born of titles and heir apparency and... Halamshiral is having difficulty freeing trade routes formerly controlled by Duchess Florian. Had she been tried, her assets would be forfeit and considerable bureaucracy avoided. So they ask that we judge her.
Are you serious? I did my part. She's dead.
That was the time allotted for rebuttal. Her crimes negated any claim to... Forgive me, there is an odor.
Strangely enough, something similar happened to an uncle of Emperor Leandra II. His trade routes were returned to the reigning monarch. Why don't we just follow suit?
A wise choice. Thank you for making it swiftly. It's good to see you.
What do the people make of us?
There's scarcely a noble house that hasn't openly pledged its support to us.
Any visiting dignitaries I should watch out for?
Marquise Hedinel is here, but Her Grace sends her apologies for missing dinner. Allergies, I'm afraid.
Allergies to what?
Wheat, eggs, honey, meat, most fish, some poultry, and even peppers, winter fruits, and every nut under the sun.
What does the Marquise subsist on?
Spite, according to her siblings, as the Marquise had the fortune to be firstborn of her family. Try to avoid invitations to any of their luncheons.
It's time to plan our next attack. What's the state of the Inquisition?
Ambassador Briala has not forgotten her debt. You may count on aid from Orlais.
And your actions at Adamant denied Corypheus his army of pet demons. With Orlay's support, our numbers match his. Corypheus's followers must be panicking.
My agents agree. Our victories have shaken his disciples.
We've beaten their god twice over. Corypheus must be livid. Where is he now?
After you dealt with the Duchess, Corypheus uprooted his major strongholds. He's moving south to the Arbor Wilds. His army clearly wasn't prepared to flee. Our victories have them on the defensive.
They've terrorized Thedas long enough. We end them now. If Corypheus is hiding in the Arbor Wilds, that's where we'll go.
But what is Corypheus doing in such a remote area? His people have been ransacking elven ruins since Haven. We believe he seeks more. What he hopes to find, however, continues to elude us.
Which should surprise no one. Fortunately, I can assist.
I'll ignore that you wandered in without knocking. You have my attention.
What Corypheus seeks in those Forgotten Woods is as ancient as it is dangerous.
Which is?
'Tis best if I show you. This is an Eluvian, an elven artifact from a time long before their empire was lost to human greed. I restored this one at great cost, but another lies within the Arbor Wilds. That is what Corypheus seeks.
This belonged to my people.
I found legends of an elven temple within the Arbor Wilds, untouched. It proved too dangerous to approach, and thus I turned elsewhere to find my prize. If Corypheus has turned southward, he could succeed where I failed. The Eluvian would be his.
What does it do?
A more appropriate question would be, where does it lead? If this place once had a name, it has long been lost. I call it the Crossroads, a place where all Eluvians join, wherever they might be.
This place is extraordinary. How could this even exist?
Who can say? Formed from the fabric of time and space, perhaps. The ancient elves left no roads, only ruins hidden in far-flung corners. This is how they traveled between them. As you can see, most of the mirrors are dark, broken, corrupted, or unusable. As for the rest, a few can be opened from this side, but only a few.
How did you find out about this place?
My travels have led me to many strange destinations, Inquisitor. Once, they led me here. It offered sanctuary.
Sanctuary?
Not all the mirrors lead back to our world. The ancients were nothing if not resourceful.
What do you mean, a few can be opened from this side?
Some of the Eluvians have been left unlocked, like doors accidentally left ajar. All others are closed. They can be opened only from beyond.
Opened how?
With a key.
I suppose you have such a key.
The key can be many things. Each Eluvian is different. I have knowledge as well as power. Often that is enough.
This place isn't natural. It almost seems constructed. It's as if someone made a pocket within the Fade with its own rules of reality. If the ancient elves could do this...
It seems remarkable that the Magisters of Tevinter could ever challenge them. Yes.
It's deteriorating. Eventually, this place will simply collapse on itself.
Who can say how old it is? For now it stands, and thus retains its value.
Corypheus wants to come here.
This is not the Fade, but it is very close. Someone with enough power could tear down the ancient barriers.
And enter the Fade in the flesh, like Corypheus wanted to do with the Anchor.
He learned of the Eluvian in the Arbor Wilds as I did. He marshals the last of his forces to reach it. You have made Corypheus desperate, Inquisitor. We must work together to stop him, and soon.